Hvis du følger med i e-sport og Counter-Strike helt specifikt, så ved du måske godt, hvem Conor Gervin er. Han hedder nemlig også Scrawny, og han er kommentator i det. Og jeg har fået en snak med ham om, hvordan du kommer i gang med e-sport, og hvordan han er kommet i gang med at være kommentator. Og den snak, det kan du høre første del af lige her.
Honda's gonna dive back into the sights, and he's got a chance here. Does hit 2 deeks, 3 deeks. Honda's got a fourth. Everybody hits the floor, and G2 have been slain.
Let's start at the very beginning. For people who don't know you,
Sure.
Who are you and what do you do?
All right, so my name is Conor Gervin, go by Scrawny. Counter-Strike global offensive enthusiast and commentator. I cast a lot of Counter-Strike, I play a lot of Counter-Strike, I basically just love CS, and luckily enough, it's now kind of taken over all my time. So currently commentating all of the Blast events lately. We've been working for them for 2 years. That's why we're here in Copenhagen at the moment. You know, work as a freelance, so always open to events and whatnot, and that's the beauty of Counter-Strike, right, is that it can kind of seeps through in all directions.
But how did you get started with Counter-Strike? Like, what brought you into the to the business?
So what brought me into the business was, what's the business? Is the stroke of luck that was a viral YouTube video, actually. Yeah, so I started watching more and more Counter-Strike because of CSGO Lounge. You know, I started playing CS in like 2014, built my first computer at that time, made the transition from console to PC.
PC Master Race?
Yeah, exactly. And the more Counter-Strike I started playing, the more Counter-Strike I started watching. And then, you know, back then, obviously the guys casting were like a huge inspiration because I just saw people talking about a video game as, you know, as a job, and that was really inspiring. And I would kind of do it off the cuff as a bit of a joke. You know, when we were playing with our group of friends, if we had one friend left in a clutch, I would just, you know, commentate over him while he was playing. It was like you know, our joke within our inner circle. And one time I was just playing a ESEA pug on my own, and I commentated over the knife round. You know, me and my 4 random teammates just duking it out. And it just happened to be like a really good knife round. You know, like you got lucky. Like there was like a clutch at the end, big crazy battle in the middle of it. So it actually made for like a decent casting clip. And I just posted on the ESEA forums. I don't know why. I was like, you know, I want to get some eyes on this one clip. And this was like super late at night. I woke up the next morning. The thing had like 80,000 views. I had a private message from Anders Bloom. You know, my world just kind of like blew up in an instant in terms of CS because of that video. And you know, it was a long road from them. Then I feel like the real journey began with like casting smaller events and like getting to know the people you had to in order to get your foot in the door. But I would say like the trigger that served as me taking this seriously was that big boost of momentum I got off at the start from a single YouTube video.
Now CTs have the advantage, 3 versus 2. The other one's going to drop. Scrawny's going to get the backstab in. Now 3v1 as the last player tries to run out towards Ivy. He's going to be going out into green halls and back towards T-spawn, but he stops the fight. Scrawny gets 2 hits, and there it is. Snack finishes him off. And that's going to be the round.
You should fucking cast, bro. For real. I'm not even joking.
But why Counter-Strike and not like any other game out in the gaming sphere?
Why CS?
Yeah.
Leonard, you already know the answer, man. Counter-Strike's the best game in the world. Like, it's just, it's got everything you want. When I first started playing Counter-Strike, I actually hated it. But I think CSGO is a bit of it's a pitfall, you know? I built my computer to play Battlefield because the old generation of console didn't have 64-player servers. And I was like, well, if I want to play 64-player, it's either get a new console or make the jump into PC gaming. And with the friends I had at the time, it just felt like a no-brainer. Played Counter-Strike a bit because those guys told me to, and I hated it. I was like, I can't aim down sights. There's no create a class. You know, there's no weapon unlocks. Like, what is this old dried up raisin of an FPS? But then I think everybody who plays Counter-Strike, you get this like moment where it clicks. You beat me because you were that much better. It's a game that rewards skill. And the intensity of like clutches in Counter-Strike are like, they're nothing else compared to that in terms of other video games. You know, you can run around in a Call of Duty pub and get, you know, 50+ kills, and that's fun. Like if that's what you chase, then I get it. But I think the intensity of Counter-Strike rounds, in a round-to-round basis, and the understanding of how high the skill ceiling is, that was the trap for me. And once I realized how putting in more time means you can become that much better, I just, as a competitive person, I just fell, man, head over toes for it, so.
What would you say to like people who are like interested to getting started with Counter-Strike today? Because I would imagine it's more difficult today rather than back when it came out in like 2013.
I'd say stick with it. I think unfortunately Counter-Strike's in a pretty hard spot in terms of like, the entry into Counter-Strike has not been made very enjoyable at times. Especially if you're just, you know, messing around. It's like if you start taking matchmaking too seriously, just that in general as an experience, it's a bit tough. So I'd say like first have fun. Make sure you're having fun. Find a group of people you can sit down and play with. I think the experience of Counter-Strike is infinitely better when you have at least a few people to play alongside. You know, don't overwhelm yourself with the idea of being the best player ever right from the start. Just learn the mechanics, man. Go run around in casual for a little while and just soak up, I'd say, like what is a very crazy community, but also has its own quirks and has its own, like, you just get really good moments in CS. You know, it's been a long time since I ran around in casuals, but when this newest operation came out, me and some friends were just playing random games, and because, you know, you've got, what is it, 10 versus 10, everybody's mic spamming, it's a bit of a trip. So if you're looking to get into CS, just like, if you want to become good, spend some time on your own DM servers and kind of like practice your mechanics, because the moment you're better than the average player, like the moment you start improving, that high that you're going to start riding, I think is really worth it. So just have fun, man. You got to have fun when you're playing games.
Maybe you just find like one friend and start playing some Danger Zone as a way to like get into the game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Danger Zone is for elite level players only, Leonard, I'll have you know. Danger Zone is actually incredible amounts of fun. Jokes aside, I think it's a great way to learn CS, but I don't think you'll appreciate it until you already have like a base level knowledge, you know. There's a lot of fun stuff in DZ, but pros only, obviously.
We both landed on that guy, man.
I've also gotten a couple of questions for you from a few select people.
Sure.
So I was thinking we would try and listen to one of them. The first one is from a person who gets talked about a lot on stream, which is DJ.
Sure.
Who's like the. Oh, can you introduce him?
Yeah, sure. So DJ, also known as Prius, in-game CS:GO observer, very talented guy. You know, we joke around with him a lot because he is very much a character. He's a one-of-a-kind type of person, and I think his whole character is that he plays it off like he's a bit oblivious, but he's very aware. You know, he's selling his brand. We know you. We know we're onto you, DJ. But yeah, really talented and a very vital piece of tournament production, Blast specifically. He's been doing great work here. But we talk about him on stream because he just creates content. He's just very easy to talk about. He's got all sorts of crazy stories. He says the most ridiculous things. So, you know, if you put DJ in a room and you hang out with him for enough time, you're gonna walk away with some sound bites. So that's why we always bring him up. He's a man of the people.
He's really nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a listen.
Yo, Connor, what's the business? It's your boy DJ. Coming at you from this side of the pond. How's Denmark? I miss you guys so much. Leonard reached out to me and had me ask you a question. So my question is, what is your favorite Pokemon? Let me know.
What is my favorite Pokemon? That's what DJ came up with?
Yeah.
All right, man. That's a fair question. He's probably asking that because I play Pokemon Go.
That is a good game.
It is. Yep. It's especially when you're traveling. You know, airports are always popping off. It's cool to play kind of around the world, and it lets me connect with the people back home still, sending each other gifts and whatnot. You know, keeping up to date. So what is my favorite Pokemon? Damn, that's a loaded question. And I think I'm gonna have to answer Greninja.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know that one.
So Greninja, he doubles as a Smash Bros character. He's one of the Pokemon in Smash Bros, and he happens to be my favorite Smash character as well. Water/fighting type, can disappear into the ground, reappear behind people, throws water shurikens. Man, Greninja.
Does sound nice.
Yeah.
It does sound really nice.
Let me think if there's any other close seconds. We'd have to probably put Mr. Mime in there. I think Mr. Mime's a bit of a meme and a bit of a character, and I resonate with his body language. You know, I think me and Mr. Mime, we're kind of built the same. You know, we got the long, lanky arms and legs, and we move around the same, Leonard. So Greninja and Mr. Mime.
Which one of them would we be for Halloween?
I think I'd go with Mr. Mime. Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
it's a doable costume.
Say it! Talk, you stupid mind!
Okay, just relax. Roundhouse. The source of the R came from the roundhouse.
Yeah, nice work, kid. Maybe there's a little detective in you after all.
So obviously Counter-Strike has had like a lot of focus for you, but what about like other games? What are ones that you like the most?
I mean, all things FPS. I think just that's always been kind of my style. I like games that you can compete in, you know, multiplayer games. I think this is actually, I'm not sure if it's a byproduct of playing CS for as long as I have now, but I think that Counter-Strike is, you know, it's been my #1 game that I've played for 6 years now. And I think that's definitely kind of shifted what I spend my time with when it comes to gaming. I do enjoy Valorant, and we casted a little bit of it not long ago. I like that Valorant still has a lot of the competitive elements of CS, but also brings in some new qualities as well. I feel like it's been harder to play other games since Counter-Strike, because Counter-Strike in a way is such a drug that nothing else really catches up to it. So playing Counter-Strike in different variations, if I had to say it, I'd say like Danger Zone specifically, right? This very niche game mode within CSGO that it almost makes Counter-Strike feel like a sandbox. So it is CS at its core mechanically, but it's a completely different game in the sense that, you know, you're running around with stim shots, bump mines, flying through the sky, using parachutes. There's drones everywhere. You can actually respawn. Like it's a different game from what everybody who plays CS is used to. But even on its own, it's incredible and it's very underrated. Single player games too. You know, every once in a while I can sit back on the couch and just throw up like, you know, throw up The Last of Us or some Ghost of Tsushima, some really cool story-driven single player games. But lots and lots and lots and lots of Counter-Strike.
Lots of Counter-Strike.
Lots of Counter-Strike.
Well, it is a great game.
It is.
And especially like Danger Zone, if you haven't tried it, it is actually a lot of fun. I still need to learn the bump mines and all that.
That's when it gets good.
Garbage at it.
Yeah.
But
that's when it gets good, is with the bump mining, the mobility packages. Again, you know, it's not the CS you know, so it's easy to close your mind to it. But if you're looking to, I think a lot of people love playing Counter-Strike, but you can be brought down by the competitive experience, right? Like if you don't have a group of friends to play with, if your matchmaking experience isn't very fun, like I know the feeling of wanting to play CS, but also kind of dreading not knowing what experience you're gonna get when you click that Q button. Whereas Danger Zone, you know, the games are 5 minutes long. Run into a cheater, not a problem. Get wrecked in the opening fight, doesn't matter. You're re-queued and back into the action in a matter of minutes. So it's like, it's got that brainlessness sandbox experience, but you're still playing Counter-Strike on a mechanical level.
But speaking of Counter-Strike, what would it be like if you could make any kind of like changes to the game, both esports wise, but also Danger Zone wise? What would be like the main thing you'd be working on improving?
Right, loaded question. From an esports point of view, I would be changing maps. We've had the same competitive map pool for 2 years now. You know, the formula was always change them out every once in a while after majors, but obviously with the COVID situation and the lack of majors, that just seems to kind of be off the table. You know, Valve's done a cool job of, with the most recent operation, introducing some new maps to like the scrimmage pool for your casual players to be messing around with, but esports feels neglected in terms of a fresh experience. And I'm sure players feel that way too, you know? So I would love to see some map changes. I think it's actually at this point a bit of a necessity. I would have it very, very high up on the list of priorities right now for an esports, you know, for the esports aspect of changing CS. Other than that, I think Counter-Strike's in a pretty good place. Guns are nicely balanced, nothing's crazy broken. You know, we're getting shift in meta with the AUG recently coming into it, so we'll have to keep our finger on that pulse, but definitely just change up the maps. Because again, like Danger Zone, playing the same game mechanically in a new environment, I think is always really enjoyable. So I can only imagine that applies to the professional players. And there's gonna be growing pains. You know, when Vertigo was added to the map pool, nobody wanted to play it. It was inherently a bad map. It still is a weak map in certain regards. But that's, you know, we're really talking about the fine details of competitive esports and CSGO at that point. And from a casual perspective, what else would we change in the game? Unranked 5 versus 5, improved anti-cheat, constantly. Get as intrusive as you need to. I think 128 tick servers. My God, 128 tick servers, please, please. The difference when you play on 64 tick compared to 128. I mean, the bullet registration, like the game just feels so crisp and clean, and that's I think a big ordeal to change over all the servers. But what else are we getting? I feel like it's a direction we could work into. The mystical Source 2 update that was supposed to happen and then vanished. Like, I have no clue what that could actually bring in for the game, but it could be nice. They've actually just made a Danger Zone update. They changed the way parachutes work, which is a big deal for guys like us that are flying around using the bump mines and mobility packages. It needs some fine tuning. We got to be able to bind the parachute key. Right now it's stuck on spacebar, which actually interferes with jumping. I think some of the sounds in Danger Zone need some work. Maps. I think Danger Zone is one of those things where, unlike competitive CS, where putting in a new map can change everything, because you're going to have, dozens of new smoke lineups, dozens of new wall banks, and it affects an esports aspect where there's very real money and prestige on the line. Nobody is suffering from new Danger Zone maps. If there was a playlist of 10 Danger Zone maps, as there's currently only 3, if there was 10 of them, and that seems excessive, but who's complaining? If you're just, it's a Danger Zone element where angles aren't nearly as important, grenade lineups are nearly non-existent. It's just more open spaces. Again, that sandbox side of things. So I would love to, again, I feel like I'm just talking about map pool, man, but more and more maps, because CS in a fresh environment, that is primo real estate.
But going back to like the competitive map pool, we've had a lot of maps that gotten like updates like Dust and Nuke. If you could pick any of like the older maps and give them an overhaul and put them into the competitive map pool, which one would it be?
It's still in the competitive map pool, but I would take it out and then put it back in, and it's going to be Mirage. It's the longest standing map in the competitive map pool that hasn't been remade. We watched Train, Nuke, Inferno, Dust 2, all of these ones got their fresh face. So I think, even Cash, which was redone and still isn't re-implemented, like Mirage has to be on the chopping block, just by sheer timeline. And I think that it's an essential Counter-Strike map as well. I can see why people are maybe like a little fed up with it, but I also understand why it has its diehard fans, just like a Dust 2. I know Dust 2 is like the most iconic CSGO map, but I personally put Mirage right up there with it.
Have you ever thought about like the possibility of adding like entirely new gameplay elements, like having a map with like 3 bomb sites or something crazy like that?
I think that's never would I have thought of that prior to having played Haven in Valorant. When I saw Valorant had a 3-site map, I was kind of like, I was critical at first. And then when I started to enjoy it, that criticism turned into almost like a dumbfoundedness. Where I was like, wow, this plays really cool. And I like the fact that on Valorant's map pool, everything almost has its little bit of a gimmick. You've got teleporters on one map and one map only. You've got a 3 bomb site map, but only on one map. So I definitely think there's space for that. And the beauty of Counter-Strike is we have a very creative community and very dedicated map makers. So I think that ideas out there, or like fresh ideas, like the thought of a 3-site map, I'm not against it. I would have to obviously play it specifically to just see where I stand before I could kind of promote the idea. But I also can always get behind the thought of just like shaking things up. And if I was so shocked by Haven when I first played it, but then came to appreciate it pretty quickly, I think it's just a reminder to me that like I was closed-minded to that kind of drastic change, and yet it's proven its value. So yeah, let's do it, man. A, B, C, maybe D. Let's go 4 bomb sites, Leonard. Let's take it to a new level.
And give them all a bomb.
Everybody has bombs. Bombs for everyone.
And let them plan on all the sites. It's gonna be difficult being CT on that. But what about other big changes you can make? Because like one of the changes I remember was like the addition of the Molotov. What about adding something else, like maybe like the stim packs from Danger Zone, or maybe even a shield?
Right. Okay. So this is always like that ongoing thought, because there's a lot of things you find in Danger Zone that you just don't have in competitive CS. Medi shots being one of them. I wouldn't put medi shots in competitive Counter-Strike. I'm not huge on health regeneration in general in games. You know, I like the fact that in Counter-Strike, if you get naded at the start of the round, then that is an inherent reward to the team who hit you with it. You know, the thought of like eating 4 grenades while running up banana and then just everybody stimming themselves to be back at 100, the CTs wouldn't have time to, so no, not medi shots.
Also not if it just was like one on the team and it works really slowly and you have to be like very...
Couldn't do it.
No?
Couldn't do it. No, I don't think so. Maybe, and shields either? No. Shields in Danger Zone, they already have a bad reputation. I don't want to see shields back in CS. I like the fact that if we both peek each other, one of us is going down. You know, and if I hit you in the head, that's it. But if you pull out a shield in the middle of that fight and block half of my damage, I'm not a happy man.
I feel like we've tried it before as well.
Yeah, I've heard the horror stories.
Det var altså så første afsnit af min interview med Conor Gervin, a.k.a. Scrawny. Hvad synes du om e-sport? Giv os som altid dine tanker lige herunder, og så håber vi ses i næste afsnit.